From a young age, we are bombarded with messages about what it means to be a man or a woman. These messages, often unspoken but powerfully conveyed, shape our beliefs and behaviors. Society often tells boys to be strong, stoic, and assertive, associating these traits with masculinity. Girls, on the other hand, are often encouraged to be nurturing, passive, and accommodating, aligning these qualities with femininity. These rigid expectations can be limiting for everyone, but they can be particularly harmful for women. When men are raised to believe that they are naturally dominant and entitled to power, it can create a dangerous dynamic between the genders. This sense of entitlement can manifest itself in subtle ways, like men interrupting women in conversations or expecting women to take on the majority of household chores. However, it can also lead to more overt forms of sexism, discrimination, and even violence. The problem with these rigid gender roles is that they create a false binary. They suggest that there are only two ways to be and that these ways are fundamentally different and even opposing. This binary ignores the diversity of human experience and limits the potential of both men and women. Moreover, it creates a hierarchy, with masculinity often being valued over femininity. This hierarchy can have serious consequences, as it can contribute to a culture where violence against women is tolerated or even accepted. When we examine the issue of violence against women, it's crucial to understand how it is deeply intertwined with these unequal power dynamics. The same societal norms that tell men they are entitled to power also create an environment where violence against women can thrive. This violence is not just about physical harm. It encompasses emotional, psychological, and economic abuse as well. It thrives on silence, on the fear that keeps women from speaking out and challenging the status quo. One of the most insidious ways that gender norms contribute to violence against women is by normalizing it. When boys grow up seeing men disrespecting women, treating them as objects, or using violence as a means of control, they are more likely to internalize these behaviors as acceptable. This normalization is often reinforced by media portrayals that glorify male aggression and portray women as submissive or even deserving of violence. The fear of not being believed, the shame associated with abuse, and the pressure to protect their abusers are just a few of the reasons why many women suffer in silence. This silence only perpetuates the cycle of violence, allowing it to continue unchallenged and unaddressed. It takes immense strength for a woman to break free from this cycle, to seek help and reclaim her voice. Violence against women is not a monolithic entity. It manifests in a horrifying array of forms. Physical violence, while perhaps the most visible, is just one piece of the puzzle. Sexual violence, including rape, assault, and harassment, is another devastating reality for countless women. These acts of aggression are not about sex. They are about power and control, using another person's body as a weapon to dominate and subjugate. The abuse can also be emotional, characterized by constant belittling, manipulation, and control. This type of abuse chips away at a woman's self-esteem, making her doubt her own perceptions and sanity. It thrives on isolation, cutting women off from their support systems and leaving them feeling trapped and alone. Economic abuse is another insidious form of control, where abusers restrict a woman's access to financial resources, making her dependent and unable to leave the abusive relationship. It's crucial to recognize that violence against women doesn't exist in a vacuum. It is inextricably linked to other forms of oppression, including racism, homophobia, transphobia, and classism. Women from marginalized communities often face intersecting forms of discrimination, making them even more vulnerable to violence and less likely to receive support and justice. Breaking the cycle of violence against women requires a fundamental shift in our societal norms and structures. We must challenge the patriarchal ideologies that perpetuate gender inequality and create an environment where violence is tolerated. This means dismantling the systems of power and privilege that allow men to maintain dominance over women. Education is key. By teaching young people about gender equality, healthy relationships, and consent, we can begin to dismantle the harmful stereotypes that contribute to violence. We must empower boys and men to become allies in the fight for gender justice, to challenge sexism and misogyny within their own circles. Creating safe spaces for women to report abuse without fear of judgment is essential. This includes providing accessible and affordable healthcare, counseling services, and legal aid. It also means holding perpetrators accountable for their actions and ensuring that the justice system responds to violence against women with the seriousness it deserves. The fight for gender equality is a fight for a world where everyone can live free from violence and fear. It is a fight for a world where every individual, regardless of gender,